All right. Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to Virtual PE 21-22. We'll see how many of these we have to do. For those of you that may not know me, I am Mr. Fisher, but I think most of you do. However, the man to my left, I will let him introduce himself. He is our new PE teacher for the 21-22 school year.
My name is Coach Deloach, Coach D, Mr. D, it doesn't matter. You can call me pretty much all that. I'm here to help Mr. Fisher or to work with Mr. Fisher for PE this year, and we're hopefully going to have a lot of fun. I think we'll enjoy this. I think you'll enjoy this, to be able to do this at your own home and to do it with some things around you.
All right. First of all, I'd just like to point out we are home because of COVID. If you notice, we are not masked. However, we have both been recently tested, and we were both negative, so we are both negative as of this moment. So that is why you do not see a mask on. It's easier to project our voice and give directions without a mask. So just to clear that up. What we're going to work on for this week is basically what I was working on last week with some classes. So if you had me last week, this is going to look familiar. It's basically a hand-eye coordination tracking activity. It's where you learn to track things in space. So it's basically almost like introduction to juggling. So it's a little bit of that kind of stuff. So we're just going to demonstrate real quick what it is we're doing. In class, we use cones. In a few minutes, we will show you something that you can use at home. So just try to follow along. In class, we use the cones, and we use them a couple ways to do things. One of the things we did was we had put one cone on top of the other, and we simply just tossed it and caught it with one hand. Now, everything we're doing today, we want you to try to catch with one hand. What we don't want to see you do is a lot of this. We catch you with two hands against your body. We're trying to work on some hand-eye coordination, not hand-body. So when you're doing it this way, if you have something that you can use at home that's similar to this, we're just looking for a one-handed catch. And just do the best you can. And as we said in class last week, if you drop it, it's no big deal. Just pick it up and try again. So if you have something at home similar to this that we could try this, we would like to try this method. Now, we do understand that not everybody has lightweight plastic cones laying around the house, but you can find something along these lines. As with anything you use at home, though, please remember to ask who's ever in charge at home before you start throwing things up in the air. So please make sure you do that just to be safe. All right. Another thing we tried last week, we had two cones together, and we did a little flip. So we just took it. We took the one hand behind the back, because again, we're trying to learn to use one hand, and we just followed it, we flipped it once and caught it. We just had it flip one time, and you caught it. And again, if you drop it, what do? You just pick it up and try again. And so we tried that a few times, and then what we did was we switched hands. You have to learn to use both hands. If you're going to play any kind of sport, you're going to need to learn to use both hands. So you use the other hand, and you just do a split. Again, try to keep the other hand behind your back so you're not tempted to use both, because again, this is not what we're looking for. We're not looking for a two-handed catch. We're looking for one hand. All right. Then what we did was we found a partner, and we faced each other. We made sure we held the cone in the same hand, because if we hold it in the same hand, for instance, this is my right, so Coach D is going to hold his cones in his right hand. That way, when we toss them to each other, they're on the opposite side. So there's no chance of the cones, or no chance, but lessens the chance of the cones hitting in midair, because then nobody can catch it. So all you're going to simply do is you got to toss and catch. Now this is where it gets kind of difficult, because you've got to learn to judge how hard you can throw it, while at the same time tracking the other person's cone in the air. So I can't just and you still have to kind of take your time and throw the cone to your target. In this case, we're kind of aiming for the chest. So you have to be very careful when you're throwing to be successful. Again, if you watch us, we're not throwing it very hard. We're just looking at it. If you notice, we're not looking at each other. We're looking at the cones. Now, I do see his cone, though. I do see his cone, his body, though, out of the corner of my eye. That's called peripheral vision. So I'm not really looking at him, but I still see him. My focus is on the cone because that's what I want to catch, but when I'm tossing it to him, I can still see him because I'm using my peripheral vision and I'm seeing him out of the corner of my eye. So that's another thing you gotta learn to do in sports. You're not gonna always look at somebody, you gotta be able to see them off to the side. That's called peripheral vision. So we're working on that. So that is basically all we're asking you to do for right now. What you would simply do is you would take some pictures of you doing that. You could send a short video. You can send it through Teams. Hopefully we'll be hooked up by then. You can also just send it to our emails. If you go on the school website and you go under the staff directory, we have emails under there. You can just send it to us via email. And again, we're talking like maybe 2 or 3 pictures, maybe 10 seconds of a video. You do not have to get too intricate with this. Now, before we stop though, we do understand that not everybody has plastic cones at home. I don't have plastic cones at home. But we are assuming that everybody has something similar to this. We're using water bottles, but you may have any other kind of plastic bottle. You can use this for the same thing. You can take it, you can flip it. If you drop it. But again, try to do that one-handed. That's the tricky part. You can find a friend. All right. So you can just, now I did an experiment with these. I found out that if they're empty, they work better. If they have something in it, it's harder to get it to flip. So if you empty the bottle first, so if you have that soda bottle, kids, you're going to have to drink the soda before you use the bottle. I know that's a sacrifice, but you're going to have to drink the soda before you flip the bottle. So I just found that empty is better. It doesn't have to be, but empty seems to work better. If you do use a bottle with fluid in it though, we're asking that you probably go outside and do it, just in case you drop it, and we don't want it to break open inside your house, because who's ever in charge again may not be too happy with that. So if it does have something in it, please go outside and do this. But otherwise, Coach D?
That pretty much covers it, just trying to learn how to hand-eye coordination.
I guess this is something you'll use your whole life. Like I always tell kids, if you're going to drive a car someday, you're going to need to develop hand-eye coordination. So it's just something simple, but again, try to use the one hand. Try to work on one hand, because this is not what we're looking for. All right, any questions, always feel free to contact us. I said go online. We have to check the staff directory for our emails. You can send us anything, anytime. All right, I guess that's it. Maybe. Guess we'll see you next time. Thank you. All right, anything else?